You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Wood.
And I'm Jennifer Connor.
From Equestrian Businesswomen, and you are listening to Equestrian B2B, the podcast that brings together industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and equestrians for conversations about how they build and sustain a successful business.
On today's show, we talk to Carrie Sarabella, the founder of Snacks 5th Avenchew, about how she took her side hustle to a 7-figure business, plus how she turned that knowledge into a company to help other small business owners.
Carrie Sarabella is a lifelong equestrian, having started riding at the age of 3. While her family were not involved in horses, they supported her passion to ride and compete in the hunter-jumper discipline, which she continued into the adult amateur hunters after turning 18. While Carrie originally thought she would be a veterinarian and worked for VCA Animal Hospital, she returned to college and built a career in human anesthesiology, becoming the lead anesthesiology assistant for cardiac and thoracic surgery at New York University for 10 years. She still has an active license and stays current with accredited courses and continuing education.
Carrie started Snacks 5th Avenchew in 2014 while still working in medicine. While out of work due to injury and surgery, she turned her hobby into profit and started her own business off a need to help her own dog's food allergies. She channeled her skill from medicine, her knowledge of nutrients and digestion, and her passion for pets into a company that is in more than 600 stores and a multi-7-figure business with a 2,000 square foot facility in Florida. Through her business experience, Carrie started a new company to coach other small business owners and entrepreneurs, sharing the knowledge that she learned and wished she had while growing Snacks 5th Avenchew.
We get it. Finding a reliable hay provider is a headache. That's why Edenbrook is harnessing the power of cutting-edge technology to solve those problems. Think about how much time would be saved if your hay, straw, and shavings needs were all taken care of in a transparent way by a team you can trust. Edenbrook is making that possible. Their team of market experts uses a vast network of vetted hay growers and cutting-edge technology to seek out the best products and take care of the logistics. By finding the best values, they're also solving market inefficiencies and helping farmers at the same time. So stop worrying and start enjoying time with your animals. Visit Edenbrook.com to get started. Edenbrook, we move markets.
Hi, Carrie. We're really excited to have you on today to talk about, your company and how you started it, and just learn more about, what you have gone through and how you've built it up to be such a success. So we're excited to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I admire what you guys have grown, and I listen to the podcast, so I'm very honored to even be talking to you. Honestly, it's exciting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So you have a very interesting background. You actually started out as an anesthesiology assistant.
I did. It was definitely something. Yeah, it was definitely something I didn't expect to leave behind. We definitely took a little turn, but it's I love medicine.
Mm.
Yeah. Have you always loved medicine?
I have. When I was a young girl at the barn, I remember the vet would come and I would just hang around. I'm so interested, and my whatever it was, if it wasn't even just my pony, it was just anything that they were doing, I would just hang around. It was fascinating, whether it was a little gory or whether it was just something so simple. It was of interest.
Yeah.
And how'd you move from, did you have interest in wanting to be a vet and then move to anesthesiology, or did you just say medicine is it and pick something in medicine?
Yeah. So I love animals. So I always thought that my path would be veterinary practice. And then as young adults, we are I don't want to go to school for that long. That's a really long time. And I decided to kind of just put the thought of going to school for veterinary practice on the back burner. And then suddenly, life starts to pass by, and I tried a few other things. And then I started to look into also just the opportunities that came along with the growth in medicine. And I didn't want to cap out within a veterinary practice. So I, of course, had friends who worked in medicine, and I just started asking questions. And slowly but surely, I started to just gravitate towards what was of interest. Like if I wanted to help people and I did work and I did move to, medicine for humans, like what would that look like? Because I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. I knew that I wanted to do something that I felt that I was able to help with. I didn't want to be like in charge of the patient. I wanted to make an impact and help, but I didn't want to be the person in charge. And so a friend actually suggested I give it a shot in this program, and I did. And I actually fell in love with it. I loved it because I was just close enough to being the right-hand man for the doctor. But I didn't actually have all of the responsibility. So even though there's a ton of responsibility that comes with the position I had, it just took a load off knowing it wasn't my insurance. It wasn't my patient. So it was kind of like the best of both worlds and left a lot of room for growth.
Yeah.
That's
Very
really
cool.
interesting to be able to recognize that in yourself, that you want to have a good position, but you also know that you don't want to be the one in charge.
Yeah.
Which is weird because now I am.
Right.
But maybe the stakes are a little bit lower in terms of like human life.
Yeah, I would say so. Yes.
Did anything that you did working like with the vets and in a vet practice, did anything prepare you for what you were doing in human medicine, or is it completely different?
Yeah. So as much as I would love to say that working in the veterinary hospital did prepare me for anesthesia, I truly believe that there was a few other things that I embodied as a person, but also as an equestrian that hold the top spots. So for me as equestrians, we learn at a young age, discipline, respect, work ethic. Work ethic is huge. And you learn almost immediately that when you fall, literally, you get back up. So I think having that foundation, those traits as a foundation that the equestrian world taught me, truly not only set me up for success in anesthesia, but it also helped me throughout life, because no matter where I went, these were things that I implemented no matter what type of job I had.
Yeah. Yeah, we hear that. I think that's a recurring theme from a lot of people, is how much they learned as kids that carried through.
Yeah.
And, going from there and having that career, how did you come up with the idea for Snacks with Avenchew?
Okay. So I grew up in New York City.
Yeah. No, I can't tell it all.
I know already the story in my head, so it really does make me laugh. I grew up in New York City, and I always went to Saks Fifth Avenue with my family, as a kid, shopping, and it was just always just larger than life, the best place to me. And you leave wanting to go back. And at the same time, I started Snacks to solve a problem with my own dog at the time. And so I just decided it in a weird way, because, we'll get into it, but I wound up off from work. But in a weird way, I wound up having the opportunity to turn my business into a real business instead of just a side job. And it happened really quickly. And the twist on words came natural. I'm just kind of witty like that. And so it was between that and barked off good men. And I decided to leave the other one behind because I knew I wanted to do horses and dogs, and the barked off good man kind of left me with just catering to dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the skills, I don't think there's anything that you can really prepare for in order to be an entrepreneur. So when I kind of started Snacks, I don't think I really thought far enough ahead to know what I was in for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you feel that way from the beginning, or were you confident from the beginning, like, okay, I'm going to make this work? Or did you feel like, oh, I'm over my head a little?
I felt both. There were times when I was so excited, I couldn't tell if I was scared or excited. And then there were times where I was so scared, I couldn't tell if I was scared or excited. And so
Mhm.
you thrive off of that, though, and you learn who you are as a person, and you learn how to process. So that way it's not really like a fight or flight. And you learn how to allow those feelings to work for you. And that really is how I started to get one foot in front of the other and take on opportunities that presented themselves, even if they were so scary and so different. I just always embraced both.
Yeah. And do you think, obviously you have to have a lot of discipline and, being able to sit down and learn things like you did for the medical work. Does that help you as a business owner in having that experience?
Yeah, because if there's anything that the medical world will teach you, it's to have thick skin and a lot of patience.
Yeah.
So it definitely helped develop me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And what were the first steps that you took when you started Snacks with Avenchew?
Well, I couldn't take many until I crossed the hurdle with Saks. So that was a huge learning lesson right from the start. And the lesson I felt was just not to give up. That was the first time ever that I realized there's not a such thing as no. I need to figure out a way to make it work. And it was empowering because that was like a huge, I don't want to say speed bump, but it felt like a wall at the time. It felt like I was hitting a brick wall, but it was a huge speed bump that felt like Mount Everest. And it was the first time that I felt like, okay, so there's always a way. There's always a way. So if you just channel your energy to make it meaningful and give it a purpose, there's a way. You're going to figure it out. You just have to separate your emotions from your logical thought process so that you can get through.
And was that the biggest hurdle that you had then, was with Saks?
I would say so, because I ultimately allowed the general public to help me, and they were on my side. So I was very lucky that the transition into the equestrian world was extremely welcoming. There's always hurdles along the way in business, but for me, I don't know, how it is for everyone else. For me, nothing ever felt too big. I don't know if it's because I went through that from the start with Saks, and they didn't really give me an opportunity to like take a step forward. I was literally just incorporated. I didn't even have a product.
Yeah.
So once this was covered by every news outlet and I was just getting traction, I was like, I need to get my ducks in a row. Like, I need to ride this wave and figure out what I do next, because this can pass me by in like a second. And so this first thing I did was like create a few products that I hadn't even like begun to think about yet in terms of how to get it to market. But I was already working to get it approved, and working with a veterinarian at the time that I was close with to make sure that things were formulated. We sent it out for testing. So I had everything in line, but I probably would have taken my time if that didn't happen. It was almost like the push that I needed, because it just kind of lets you know, like, there is no right time. Just get out there and do it. And that was like, if that moment passed me by and I didn't get out there and do it, I don't know how much longer I would have waited.
And was the wall that you hit, was it Saks saying that it was copyright infringement, or what was the issue with the name?
Yes. They did not think it was funny. They didn't think it was cute. They were just basically saying, look, you're infringing on our property and you're tarnishing our brands. You're confusing our consumers. So that was one of the reasons why I chose to bring that to the public. didn't know how to fight without, I don't know. I honestly don't even know why I did it. I have to be honest. I always try to justify this, but I don't. And I just kind of put it out there, and I was just almost looking for someone to say, hey, I've been through this. This is like, how to navigate. And instead it got picked up by everyone. And so I was like, oh my goodness. Like,
and people were on your side. They thought that it was okay.
A David versus Goliath case. And, people were leaving comments under products on Saks saying, oh, good thing I checked my bag when I left. I almost left with a dog treat instead of a bow tie. So it became this whole thing. And then we ultimately settled by them just saying, look, we don't ever want to hear about you selling clothes.
Right.
As long as you don't become a clothing brand, then you're good in our book. And so that's obviously what I did. But I do want to revisit, like, my 10-year anniversary is coming up, and I kind of want to entertain the thought of reaching out to them and just saying, like, hey, would you like to would you like to sell our product in your store for our 10-year anniversary? Like, it would just be fun to just see. I like to press the envelope, and I really think it would just be fun to see what they say. I don't know.
Yeah. How did it even get on their radar? You hadn't even started, right? So how did it even get there?
I have no idea. I put it on Instagram, right? But I didn't. I was putting it on Instagram to hopefully reach, like I said, people that maybe were in business, or maybe a friend's mom, or just say, hey, let's call her, let's help her, like, so a friend that I knew or whatever. Never did I think that it would be picked up or seen or put into people's faces that I would have never known. It's funny how that algorithm works. So yeah. And then once one news outlet picks it up, then of course, the domino effect starts to happen. And it was beyond anything I could have ever imagined.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's a lot for a brand new business owner to face.
Like, if it happens now, that'd be great. Like, I have my product. So, I mean, but honestly, I don't know if I would be where I am today if it didn't happen in the beginning. As a person, as a business owner, and as a brand, because it kind of like put me on the map, and it also gave me a story, a really, really cool story.
Right.
And I don't know, I can't rewrite time. So I really do enjoy the process that I was able to go through.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of guts, because there's a lot of people who would have been like, you know what, this is okay. Sorry, Saks. I didn't mean to offend you. It's okay. Here, have your name back.
Oh my God.
Kept going. That's amazing.
Well, let's not leave. Okay, so let me just give you some extra content here. So I was crying in the corner of my apartment. I was like, yes, I got this letter. What can I do with it? Let's tell everyone. It was so scary and crippling. I thought just exactly what you said. I was like, oh my God, with a few other words that I can't say on here. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is going to shut me down. I don't even know. So I was crying, and it did take me like a day or two to process. And I told my dad, he's like my best girlfriend. He is like hilarious. I tell him everything, and he's the one who like doesn't back down. And that was like kind of like a turning point for me, where he was like, you gotta go for this. Like, you've got to like give it a shot, because what do you have to lose? If they're going to shut you down and they're going to tell you no, well, then fight it. And then you're in the same position. And then we started looking into it a bit more, and we noticed that Chewy Vuitton and Sniffany & Co., all of the parody toys, had the same situation with those bigger brands, and they won. I felt comfortable making it public because I knew I was going to have to pay a lot if they weren't embarrassed by what they were doing. And I wasn't interested in going to court privately. And my father helped me look into like how much the other companies had spent trying to fight this huge corporation. And so that's when Snacks became a people's brand. I put it out there looking for help. And not only did news outlets pick it up, but the reciprocation from the community that weren't even horse people at the time. It was just the human population they were like, this isn't right. This is a completely different business. There's so many other things out there like this. And so that's how it started. It is a great story, but it had a lot of downs to it in the beginning before it became a success story.
Yeah. And then, it's a lot to go through at the beginning before you even are having success and being like, okay, is it worth it?
Yes. Oh, there's so many things that go through your mind. I mean, I'm sure I'm not even thinking of half of them now, but you panic. They're intimidating. You panic. That's their goal, right? They have people sitting there that do this every day, all day. That's their job. But, if you really feel like you have a case and you don't feel like you're infringing, like truly, not just like, I'm not, how people just kind of, there's so many brands of barbecue potato chips. Like if you truly know that you have something that stands apart from what they're accusing you of, then it's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of gave you the drive to be successful then?
Yes, because I knew that if I was able to get through what I went through, especially publicly, then I was definitely able to make a few cold calls and hear no. And then it did give me a backbone, but it didn't make me. I had a lot of growing to do, and I think that even up until I would say like 2 years ago, I've evolved into such a wonderful business owner. I look back at the things that I used to do, the things I used to say and prioritize, and I'm a different person, but I remember very well all of the milestones along the way when I felt myself growing, and whether it was like a deal I thought I lost or something that I don't even know like exactly the situation, but I remember the feelings of each time. And I remember the place of where I was in the moment. And I remember feeling as though I've crossed the threshold. And it's weird because you're going so fast. Sometimes you don't even have a chance to realize like how far you've come.
Right.
But when I get a chance to speak with you ladies and I actually do have a moment to reflect, I do remember the places and the times. And you grow along the way. It's impossible to really grow that fast, that quick. And that goes back to patience. But I do think that Saks gave me an opportunity to develop thick skin and the backbone I needed in order to start moving forward and then take accountability for the things that I needed to take accountability for along the way in order to evolve as a businesswoman.
Mm-hmm. And were you still working full time when all this was happening?
Oh, yes. I was. Okay. So I got injured on the job. And so I was out on workman's comp. And like I said, these were the things I was doing for my dog. He had such extreme food allergies. He was constantly put on medication and steroids like prednisone and medications and antibiotics for the other ones and prescription food. And it was just outrageous. And he wasn't ever getting better. And that's when I started to just do things for him. Friends would come over. They would laugh at me because I can't cook at all. I can't eat, not even a hard-boiled egg. And I'm telling you the truth because I tried and I didn't know how long it took and they exploded. And I'm so embarrassed, but it's so funny because, I built now this business that's surrounded by baking, and my friends would come over and they'd be like, hey, can I have some for my dog? And I would bring it down to the barn and some of the girls would. So it slowly evolved. But it's just like so crazy because I just didn't think that's what it would turn into. And I was literally not cleared to go back to work yet. And so when Saks decided to come after me, I didn't know that it was picked up publicly until my lawyer called me asking me why he's drinking his morning coffee, looking at me on the front of the paper. And I was like, oh my God. So they thought I was a fraud. Meanwhile, I didn't even have anything going on yet. I was just giving it to friends at the time and getting incorporated, trying to prepare for what I wanted to do once I was back to work. And do I want to leave? Do I not? And so I was still at the hospital. And because of what happened, I actually needed to settle with workman's comp by proving to them, hey, look, this was not my intention. And this is new. I don't have this business. It's just starting. Right. I have no income from this. So yes, I agreed to go back to work. So I had to agree to go back to work for 6 months to prove that, I wasn't a fraud and that this wasn't a pre-existing business. And on the 6th month, I quit.
Wow.
Because it was just so beyond whatever I could have imagined. It grew into such a monster, the cutest, loving monster ever, Snacks is ever, but it grew into this business I couldn't have even imagined so quickly. Yeah. And I needed to take a chance. I needed to nurture it. And so I quit. And everybody told me I was crazy. There is not one person that, even
Your
the
dad?
ones that, yes, no.
He thought you were crazy too.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Even the ones that were like, oh, what a great idea. They even fell on both sides. Everyone was like, what are you doing? You're leaving medicine to start baking for dogs? You don't cook. What are you doing? This is crazy. And it was crazy now that I look back, but it was working. I don't know. Nothing ever felt wrong. It was working.
That's cool.
So I got to my gut, and thank God it was right.
Right. Is there any advice that you think would help people who kind of have that side passion from their regular job and how they could make that leap into making it a full-time thing for them?
Yeah. I mean, I think I would say, well, first I would say take risks. Take risks. I understand that not everyone may be able to take risks depending on their situation. But and some may need to play conservatively, but still be in the game. Depending on your situation, I would say trust your gut and decide whether or not you can take that leap or gradually transition. I did have the comfort of knowing that I was saving along the way. So taking the jump was with the preparation of knowing that I saved this amount of money and I had this amount of time to make it work. Right. It wasn't like I'm going to kind of try and see how it goes. It was like, this is the amount of time I have. And this is when I say yes or
sink or swim. Yeah.
My father
calculated risk.
It is, but you also have to ride the wave and trust your gut. My father always says, one monkey doesn't let go of a branch until he has his hand on the other. And so once I was able to know what next branch I was grabbing and had planned out the path, then I knew it was time to jump.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
And I think, taking risks is what so many people are averse to. But really, I think if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to be able to take risks.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just about starting a business. I take risks maybe to this day. I mean, there's some times when there's an opportunity that presents itself to us and we're like, oh my God, do we do this? Do we have the capacity to do it? Do we have the people to do it? and the capabilities, but like, you weigh it out and you figure out whether or not it makes sense. Is this going to be the decision that reaches me to get to the next, helps me reach the next threshold and the next platform? So, you'll know what feels right, but at the same time, sometimes it doesn't feel right. And if it feels scary and you take a chance, and who cares? Take the chance. Like, who cares? What's the worst that happens? You wind up back where you started. And that's not so bad, right? Because there's so many things that could be worse. So, so take the chance and take the chance. Maybe you don't want to go 100%. Well, do something that allows yourself to try so that you're not 87 sitting around your family and saying like all these, things of regret that you didn't have a chance to do. And you're like, I wonder what would have happened if I actually worked with this big company. You have an opportunity to find out. So take the chance and see what happens. And like I said, you are always able to start again, or you wind up back to where you started. And that's not such a bad place. And if it is, guess what? It's your motivation to try again.
Right.
And do you keep your foot in the door of medicine, though, just as a fallback, just in case?
I do. I don't use it as a fallback. I use it because I keep it current because my father won't let me let it go. He he's so proud of, and I am too. And he's really a voice of reason for me. And he's right, because sometimes I do get a little, I don't want to say lazy, but I do. I get and spoiled, right? Like knowing that I have the business and that I'm truly passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm almost 10 years in. He keeps me grounded, and he always says exactly what you said. You need that license. There is always a chance that you can go back. Nothing is certain, just in case, you've taken the test for so long ago that if I tried to take it now and I lost the license, would I pass the test? Probably not. Medicine is constantly evolving. So he is always making sure that I don't put all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's kind of a good plan. I mean, I have my insurance license, so I can do, some equine insurance on the side. It's certainly not something that's, that I do often or a lot of, but it's one more thing to have. It can be a priority if I need it.
Yeah, exactly. It's there.
Yeah.
And to know that you have these traits that can work in your favor, it's almost like even more comfort knowing like, okay, if I mess up, I have this, so if you choose to take a risk and you choose to focus on something, it's also comforting to know that you're able to go back to something that you were also comfortable doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you could get out there and you could hate what you're doing, or in a year you could dislike your business or whatever. So yeah. Yeah.
So true. Yeah.
So do you find that the space that you're in, this like the snack space, the treats, is getting kind of crowded and you have competition?
No. There's room for everybody. It's like trying to, I think I mentioned it earlier, it's like trying to create one brand of barbecue potato chips. I think competition is good. What would you do? What would you do if you were in the show ring and it's just you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the point of that? I think that competition is good. I also don't know who my competitors are. I choose to keep it that way, and I say it in the most respectful way. I just don't. I just don't know who they are, because in business, in any business, everything that has been great, that's been created, there's been like 100 times more of imitation brands. So, why am I going to focus on something when it's just history repeating itself? Because no matter who you are, jeans, look at jeans. It happens with jeans. It happens with, stores on Etsy, and they find themselves being copied by big brands. I don't know if I can name names on here, but like I'm saying, like Fashion Nova or Shein, look on Etsy to copy, talented artists that are creating work, and then they just slap it on, their brand. So I just choose to never pay attention to anyone trying to compete with me. Honestly, it's like a race. Like it's like literally like the Kentucky Derby. I have blinders on. It's just me in the race. Everyone behind me is dirty, and I just keep focused on staying in front. I don't waste my time on who's doing it, who's using maybe a design, who's I honestly don't even know what to say because I don't know who they are. I feel if I do that, I'm wasting the time I can use on creating a product or accommodating a new customer or branching out with new product. I can't buy back that time. So I'm not going to give it to someone that's aspiring to be me, because then I give them all of the power, because then I'm trying to be them by paying attention to what they're doing. So as long as I continuously like focus on what we're doing as a brand and as a company, internally as well as externally, there's no way that I can't win.
Yeah. So instead of trying to make yourself stand out, you just kind of focus on what you're doing and staying on your path.
Yeah, we don't do anything crazy. We just focus on staying true to who we are. That doesn't mean that we're not gonna, surprise you and like maybe create a product. And I mean, I have no idea because we're not like in a position right now where we're trying to like make a splash. We're focusing on continuing to grow, we take on a bunch of private label customers and in the equestrian industry and the canine industry as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And what does expansion of the business look like to you? Like, obviously, you started out with dog treats. How soon did you move into horses?
Almost immediately.
Yeah.
It wound up not being my choice. So the horse world was missing something. It didn't exist. And so there was a gap in the market that I was able to fill. It just was literally, and they say this, there's someone who had said this, forgive me because I don't know who the quote is, but it's if the opportunity presented itself and it aligns itself with the perfect timing. And I think that is something that you cannot create yourself. That was not a mistake. That happened because it was supposed to happen and the timing couldn't have been more perfect. So I rode the wave, as I like to say, because everyone that has a horse has a dog. So I didn't feel like it was like I was giving up so much of the other half of the business, because I was almost kind of hitting two birds with one stone. Yeah,
for sure. And when did you kind of like, how far into owning from starting the company were you like, ooh, we need to expand? Like, did you move facilities or was it a matter of hiring people?
No, I actually worked out of my apartment for a long time. I mean, I'm talking like a long time. The breakers would go out in my apartment. I would have to keep it secret from my landlord, and I would, bring on like dinner. I'm like, oh, my parents are here. Like, we're cooking. My parents live in New York, like, and I'm in Florida, but he doesn't know. So I just kept blowing the breaker, and it was like oven after oven. My oven, I didn't even report it to him. I wound up breaking my oven. And it was like electrical pad. So it was like a touch pad, not like, so it burnt out because I was
using it so much.
I had it all planned out. I was like, I'm going to wait until Thanksgiving so that I can tell him I was cooking a turkey, and the oven gave out because it was on for 24 hours trying to cook a turkey. Obviously this was not my idea because I don't cook. But my mom was like, you have to tell him you were like cooking a turkey. And I'm like, oh my God, like this. So we came up with this whole plan. And then I started buying like little convection ovens that were like probably like 18 inches. And I had them just anywhere I could fit them. And then like I even had one on my balcony at the time. It was crazy. And I had employees coming to my apartment. So I used to tell my front desk they were friends, and I made a deal with the guy in receiving. That way I can constantly bring my packages down there and do pickups. Like, it was crazy. If I thought about doing it now, I'm like, what was I thinking? But finally I moved out 2017. I still lived there, but I moved the business out finally in 2017, maybe 16, something like that, 16 or 17. And I'm still at the same property, but we went from that unit, which was 950 square feet. It was the smallest bay that they had, and it was affordable for what I had prepared snacks for, because I knew I had to leave because my electric was about to like just die. And now we're actually next door. So it's kind of nice to always sit in front of where I was, because it's always just a constant reminder of like, like I said, we always are moving so fast. We don't get a chance to really reflect. So every now and then it kind of just gives me like a little like moment where I'm able to say like, oh, look what you've done.
Yeah.
So it's nice. But it took us a few years, and then we took the jump because it was necessary, and I was able to take on so much more business at that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And had the business been going well enough to where you could kind of safely move into that without having to worry, or was it like a matter of taking out loans? Or
no, I've actually never taken out a loan.
That's cool.
Believe it or not. I didn't pay myself for a long time. So that money I was telling you about that I allocated for, I used my anesthesia money to pay myself and live. Yeah. Like, not pay myself, but pay the rent and for what, like my groceries, anything electric. And then I never took money from the business. So I didn't start paying myself actually until maybe like 2 or 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I just felt like it was so much more important if I needed to borrow, it was there, but I never solely allowed my company to be my provider, because I wanted to focus on like its success. And if I paid myself, then that was one less person I could hire. So it would have felt greedy to me. So I just constantly found a way to use the money to go back into the business as an investment. So that way I was able to constantly evolve and expand.
Yeah. And what does your current business look like? How many people do you employ, and how much do you do day to day?
So I have 13 employees at the moment. Wow. They're on different shifts and stuff. So we try to keep the days nice and long. So we have like different shifts that come. During the holidays, it's a little bit different. It's crazy. It's like 18 to 21 people. Yeah. And the day-to-day looks do you mean in terms of like what a day is like, or production? Like, so in terms of production, like, we're doing at least 15,000 treats a day, I would say. Wow. And then in terms of day-to-day, it varies. We try to set the schedule up I'm laughing because our floor manager, I just had this conversation with her on the way in, because I asked her, I was like, how's the day? How's it going? She felt overwhelmed. I'm like, did you plan your day? She's like, yes, almost. I'm like, what are you waiting for? The day is here. Like, because I just feel like you don't feel as overwhelmed if it's on paper, because then you can make decisions and it's not just scramble in your head. So, but on a day-to-day, we always are playing chess, because something is always coming up. A new deadline needs to be moved. We still have to fit in R&D. We have our private label clients. We're working, in helping to design the bag if they want the artwork. So, there's a lot that goes into the day-to-day, but production-wise, we're like at 15 to 20,000 treats a day on average.
Do you have your own storefront?
No. I always thought that would be a great idea, but no one's bringing their horses, and equestrians are so spread out across the country. But a dog boutique or something of that nature is something I always wanted. I just haven't fully thought it through because I'm trying to watch the way the market is operating. It really does frighten me that Amazon has closed Bed Bath & Beyond. So, and that's a big job to do. And they managed to close them. So I'm trying to just watch trends to see if brick and mortar really does make sense, or if everyone's buying their treats online. So I'm really not sure, but it's always been a dream, of course. Like, I went into a Wolfgang recently and I'm like, this is so cute. I love it. It's all has a chandelier, but I kind of have, they're also a client. So I kind of get to have a little bit of my doggy boutique experience by selling to all of the dog boutiques, but I have not yet decided if I'm going to open my own. It's a different time right now. It's such a different time.
It's hard.
Yeah. Who are the people that you employ, I guess is what I'm going to say. Like, are they bakers? Are they artists? Are they veterinarians? Like, who are they?
Believe it or not, they're just regular people. I choose not to have any horse people. And I do also prefer to have someone that maybe doesn't necessarily have a ton of experience, because it's a different type of style. And I like to train the people that come in because we offer different techniques. So you may have gone to school for pastry, but not all of them, but some of the techniques that you may have been trained for may not apply here. And I also don't want to feel as though someone's not getting true value out of something that they wanted to do. So I try to allow people to come in and almost find their craft, really. So we train them and we give them a lot of education, a lot of training, and just teach them start to finish. We go in levels. So there's like your basic level, and then within 2 weeks, you move to the next level and then the next level until you're just participating in the weekly training that we have that really helps sustain what we're providing to clients, but also new techniques and helping you do better on certain things that may be your weaknesses. So we always try to just bring in people that have an interest that we can help them evolve into something. I think it's great too, because everyone that comes here doesn't even know that they know how to do it, or that they would like to do it. So it's also really fun to watch people take a lot of pride in something that they didn't even know they had, because now this is something they can have for the rest of their lives. No matter where they go. They can go work at a bakery. And I love to invest in them. They make me so proud. I love them. I do. I do. Because I cannot do this or even sit here with you and do cookies at the same time. They're literally everything going. I'll give you guys a little tour before you go, since we're on video. Okay. And I don't know. There's something to be said about the culture I have here is incredible. I mean, and I'm not just saying that. I can have any of these girls come hop on here right now and I'll walk out and you can ask them yourselves. And we just have a really good energy and a good culture. I hire in a very strange way. I choose not to hire, certain people, even though they're extremely talented. So to really cut it down and make it simple, I would rather hire someone that has a really good personality, gets along with the team, and they have no talent yet in terms of what we need them to do, rather than to hire someone that has so much talent and we bring them on and they're toxic to the team. I will get rid of you faster than you walked in. And it's something that I've done. Everyone knows it. It's tried and true. And it's my responsibility to protect them. This is where they're spending most of their days, and I need them to feel comfortable. And then I need that to translate to what it is that we're putting out to the customer. And so I essentially, I love this quote. So I think it was Richard Branson. He said, teach them enough so that they can leave, but treat them well enough so that they don't want to.
Yeah.
And I live by that. Live by it.
That's great.
I really like that. It's an interesting way to look at it, but for sure.
You
I
can't be
think
afraid
that's
of letting someone go. Like, you can't hold them hostage just because it's like, no, you should, like, a lot of people feel like if I don't teach them, then they're going to feel intimidated to leave. But I've had people here leave, and I had so many people thank me, and whether they've gone to work at like Publix or someplace else that allows them to use their skill, but they feel like they want so much more. And it's incredible because it's a skill that they want so much more for something they didn't even know they were able to do. And so it's nice, but our turnover rate is not high. And I feel like it's a testament to exactly the culture that I provide them and the example that I show, because I hate when they call me their boss. Like, I just try to be the example first. And then as a leader, they're then more inclined to follow.
Question about your training program. Is that something you put together, or did you have a team help you put it together?
No, I put it together. I put it together myself. And it's basically all of the things that are needed in order to excel in the production that we have. But it's set so that it's not intimidating, because I don't want someone to leave just because they don't feel like they're able to do something. So it's structured in a way that it alleviates pressure but gives just enough, but allows them to also work with positive reinforcement so that the next level also doesn't wind up seeming intimidating. And it's almost like they actually wind up asking for the growth. So it's structured strategically based off of my experience of employee management and just kind of observing trends that happen within a workplace and with employees themselves, because it's very interesting. And I don't think enough employers pay attention to employees. And if you do, they're telling you exactly what they want.
I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
And do you think that experience of kind of coming up with that training program and teaching your employees is what inspired you to become a business coach?
Yes, I do. I feel like there needs to be more knowledge on how to run a business, because the driving force it is the team that you have. And a lot of people don't know how to keep that team. And a lot of people get on a power trip. A lot of people expect certain things, but they don't want to do those things, or they don't want to be an example of what those things are. And then that, in combination with other businesses actually coming to me, asking for advice and counsel, helped me realize that I have so much more to give. And it was really fulfilling. And I've stayed in touch, and I want to allow myself to stay on the path with them so that I know from start to finish, I've really helped them accomplish what they were trying to accomplish. And it also helps me constantly develop myself as a business coach so that I'm providing value. There's nothing I hate more. I've been buying courses since I've started to evolve into this role. I've been purposely buying courses online from people that I think would be so incredible to listen to. I've been buying their courses. And I've also been buying courses from people that are horrible, to purposely listen to what I never want to do, what I should never do, and what I never want to be. I want to see what you get for value. And sometimes there's a disappointment just because you're paying so much more. I actually didn't get that much more. So it's really been a learning experience for me, because I want to make sure that it's not just about, hey, book your 15-minute consultation. Like,
Right.
It needs to be exactly what I expect every time I sign on to that course. And I have unfortunately noticed that these courses have fallen short, because it's 15 minutes of them reading testimonials about why this course is great and who they've helped. And then you get to it and you have like 6 minutes of them just showing you bullet points of what you need, what you should be doing, but not how to do it. And it's really, I think, something that's taken on a life of its own right now because people are willing to buy. And I want to help fix that by allowing someone to say, holy crap, I have so much information that I don't know what to do with it, but I have a plan now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I've been doing with anyone that has either booked on Zoom or have chosen to come here to the bakery. They wanted to do it in person. And I just truly love knowing that they leave with value, but they leave with like so much meat on the bone that they don't feel like empty. You know, they leave and they have a plan and they're like, oh, well, that's much better than I expected. It doesn't seem so intimidating now. And then they know I'm also there for them. So they're not alone. Because the one thing I did find, if you don't mind, if I could elaborate on that. Okay. I just noticed during my time while I was growing snacks, I reached out to a lot of accounts on social media, as well as via email to other business owners, kind of asking questions. The one thing I was never afraid to do was ask questions. I didn't care if I looked like an idiot. I didn't care if I didn't know the answer. I just asked anything I wanted to. And I also did that through email and DM, of course. And I found that no one answered me.
Really?
No one wanted to help. It was like this secret that they needed to keep close. Or they responded saying, no, hey, but there's a lot of stuff online. It's not like I was looking for the Cliff Notes version to cut corners. I was looking it's like going to school. They prepare you for something, but once you get into the field, there's nothing that could have prepared you for what it's like to actually be in the rut, right?
Right.
And it was this thing. And I remember after having these groups of people, like, at this point, I've had enough people that came to me and asked, and I said to myself, I never had anybody and these women are not asking for corners to be cut. They're willing to do the work.
Right.
But no one wants to help them. It's almost like the question you asked me about my competitors. It's like everyone's afraid of competition because they want to stay on top. They want to stay in front. They don't want anybody to do what they're doing. And don't get me wrong. There's times when people would show me and I felt horrible. It does make you feel bad. That's definitely, it's not like I'm stone cold and I just never knew anything. That's not the case. People want to keep anything that they learn close to them because they're afraid that someone else is going to either beat them to the finish line or the punch or whatever. And I hated that and it didn't make sense. And so I just feel like I have so much to give. And there's so many people that are in the position that I was in when I was building snacks that are looking for answers and aren't afraid of feeling like they're asking a, quote unquote, stupid question. And that deserves an answer. And we all deserve to succeed. And I think it's ridiculous because anyone can want to be snacks. And there's people that do. And there's people that try. And that's okay because I wanted to be something at some point too that emulated someone else, right? We all get our inspiration and our idols from somewhere. Like you don't ever have a singer get on stage and say, I didn't have any inspiration. Yeah. They're always saying, I loved Michael Jackson or I loved Taylor Swift. And they were there's always someone that they're giving credit to. Yep. I wanted to be that person for people because I already had so many women that were asking me for advice. And it was something, and I could never, ever withhold information that would allow them to succeed and give them value. Because I can give them all the answers. They're going to have to do the work and they're never going to be me ever. So I'm already ahead. It's, the same thing with podcasts. Women can do podcasts, but they're never going to be you. You two are incredible. There's nothing anyone can take from that. So to hold information that can allow someone to do well without ever being your competitor, or even if they are, is already setting yourself up for failure. And I find that to be greedy, and I find that to be ridiculous. And I just, and sadly, it comes from the same mouths of people that say they're women advocates or all for, women supporting women. And I've watched it, and I'm just like, no, you're not. No, you're not. It's disappointing. So, I want to call a spade. I do it quietly. I don't call people out, but my revenge is I'm coming for you. You can answer as many people as you don't want to, but I'm going to help as many people as I can. And it's not going to be with some empty course.
Right.
I'm going to share my secrets, and I'm going to just, help someone take the risk, take the jump, and get inspired.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
Perfect.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Can go on forever. So it makes me so annoyed. It really aggravates me that people aren't willing to support other people because they just want everything for themselves. It's just greedy.
Agreed. Well, it's been so much fun talking to you. No problem.
I apologize.
No need to.
Not at all. So at the end of each episode, we ask the same 4 questions to every guest, and Connor starts with the first.
Okay.
No.
What is one action that women can take to make a big difference in their lives?
I feel that one of the actions that women can take to make a bigger difference in their lives is understanding that circumstances don't actually change responsibility. So, I feel like removing emotion from certain decisions, being accountable for certain actions, help you to achieve the outcome that you're looking for. So just a lot of self-reflection and just understanding that your circumstances don't change the responsibilities. So if you want to start a business, you can have 1,000 things going on. Your responsibility is to make sure that you start that business. And so always maintain focus and take the emotion out of it, because you need to keep your eye on the prize and stay right in line with what it is that you want to achieve.
Awesome. What's the best habit that keeps you motivated personally?
Not having a habit.
No bad habits or habits altogether?
I don't have a morning routine. I don't have a very healthy work-life balance. I feel like my motivation is having flexibility. I don't want to have this. I don't have this morning routine because if you don't do the morning routine, then your whole day is thrown off, and then you have superstitions that you didn't do this. I just believe that I find not having the work-life balance allows me to take pressure off myself. And the days I need to work more, I work more. And the days I need to have more fun, I have more fun. And not having a routine that motivates me gives me motivation, because there's nothing that's going to stop my day other than me. So there's no superstition and there's no pattern or anything. The motivation I try not to blame anything on external. I need the motivation to come from myself, not because my day was messed up because I didn't make my bed and make my protein shake in the right order. So my biggest thing is by not having habits.
That's great.
That's actually kind of cool. I like that idea.
Yeah. I think that definitely works for certain people and the way that they work best, for sure. I mean, there's plenty of people who need that routine and who need that structure, but lots of people don't.
And I will tell you, I'm a person of structure, but it can ruin my day. If I'm I plan to do X, Y, and Z, and then I got thrown off at X and I don't get to Z, I'm like, oh crap. I can beat myself up over it. Oh, I didn't get to the gym, or I didn't do as long at the gym, or I didn't ride my horse, or, so I can totally see that could be a good thing to try. It's
and not having
structure
a little bit. I know it doesn't seem like it, but not having the structure, I don't like to, not having the habits and not having, like you said, the structure. It is structure because you're still going to achieve those things in your day. Even if you wanted to just have a day where maybe you wanted to give it a shot, right? But you don't want to throw off, your whole week. I'm not telling you to take big steps, baby steps, right? You write down everything that you would normally do. I'm big at like writing things down, and not like on the notes pad on your computer, like write it down. And it applies to everything. Even when she's having like a crazy day here, if you get it all out of your head, you're still able to accomplish exactly what you wanted to do within your structured day. But you just have the flexibility to do it when it fits in, so that you're not so stressed out if you just didn't get it done within this amount of time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And then you'll find that you actually have so much more room than you ever realized you did to fit in other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. What's your favorite horse movie?
Danny.
Ooh, what's that one?
Old. I don't know. Let me see if I can look it up.
Is that the one with the gray horse?
1977. 1977. I wasn't alive. I was not alive. But I don't know how I wound up with that movie in front of me. But it's like this young girl, and yes, she has a gray pony, I think. It's my favorite movie. I don't know. Even just the sounds of the hooves on the stone dust. Like, there's something about that movie. So nostalgic. But like, it's my favorite. What does everybody else say? Like not Beauty and the Beast.
Black Beauty a lot.
Black Stallion.
Yeah.
Man from Snowy River. Secretariat.
What's
What's
the other
yours?
racing movie? Seabiscuit is another big one. Yeah. But actually my favorite movie is called Sylvester.
Okay, it's a horse movie.
That's the one I'm thinking
It's a horse
of,
movie.
with the gray horse.
And that's a gray horse. Yeah. And she takes him from like a bronc pen and she makes him into like a 3-day eventer. And that's been my favorite since I was a kid.
Oh my God. Yeah. Danny, she has a gray pony. I think his name is Danny. And she shows, and it's like, oh, I don't know. I'm sure like you'll watch it and be like, it's terrible. Like, but I don't know. As a kid, it was just like my favorite movie, and I watched it over and over and over again. And I was like, oh my God. Now that I just looked it up, I was like, oh my,
wow. Who would you recommend to be a future guest on this podcast?
Have you done anyone from Cavalli Club?
No, but we know the person who kind of runs it now, but not the person who started it.
Oh, okay. Have you done Bruce Barry?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. You guys have it covered. Have you done anybody that's working in the equestrian industry as an influencer?
No.
Or a social media marketer, or Okay. So I would recommend Lily Rhodes.
Okay.
She has an incredible story. She's wise beyond her years. She's much younger. She's a good friend to me. She was helping me with the snack social media. She recently started to take on, more clients and help them with that. And she's just so like a kind soul with such a positive outlook, and she's just so eloquent. And I think that you guys would really enjoy her because she's also fun at the same time. But she's creating such a space where she's working with companies and helping them with their social media, but also helping those companies get recommendations for their products to reach other people who can, say, wear it or help promote it.
Right.
But in a way that doesn't go straight to, a major influencer. So that way, that if someone's trying this on or using this product, it's an authentic review. So she's almost creating like this little space where she's able to help. And she went to school for marketing, I believe. So I don't know. I'm telling the story, and now you have nothing to talk about. So
that's great.
I think though that I think that you would have a lot of fun with her and find a lot of insight.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks so much for joining us and talking about your experience. And I think it'll really help a lot of people to hear what you went through and how you've become successful.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. You guys should be proud of yourselves as well. This business is like everywhere. The podcast, it's crazy. How long have you been doing the podcast?
It'll be 2 years, July 1st.
July, yeah.
Yep.
Do you
Hard
ever
to believe
listen
it's been that long.
to your first podcast?
I need to go back and listen to the first episode again. I
Yeah.
think, 'cause that's one of our most popular.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I would say definitely take time to listen back to the early ones. It's so good just to like see how far you come, because you guys really, really, really are incredible.
Oh,
Thank you
thanks very
so much.
You're welcome.
Join us at the 2023 Saratoga Women in Business Spectacular on July 11th through 16th at White Hollow Farm in Stillwater, New York. With this year's theme of wellness, prosperity, and wisdom, you can hear from speakers, listen to panels, participate in activities, and network at our cocktail party. Mark your calendar to save the dates now and stay tuned to hear more from equestrian businesswomen about the schedule and exciting news to come.
It was so refreshing to talk to someone who, I mean, I guess I'll credit it to her being a New Yorker who's very blunt and very to the point of like, this is what I did. This is what it took. This is how it worked for me. Like, not afraid to say, exactly what happened and what's on her mind, and not afraid to, share that information with others, which she, said that's kind of why she started that new business of hers of coaching others, is because so many people were asking her questions, and she felt it was important to be able to share that information and not keep it, to the detriment of others.
Yeah, I really love that point. And I also feel like it's so in line with what we're trying to do with equestrian businesswomen and get information out there to people and have people open up and tell their stories and, not keep it to themselves. And so, I know for me, people ask me a lot about podcasting if I mention that I have a podcast, and I'm happy to tell them the steps that we took and the things that we've done. You know what? They might have a great podcast, and that'd be awesome because we could always use more. But, I would never hide that information from people. And so I really appreciate that, like in her business, she's giving that information out.
For sure. You know who she reminds me of is Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've listened to her or read about her before, but it was very like a little homegrown company, and she just went out and hustled, and, she had to deal with so many issues in terms of production and getting her product in stores, and that kind of very direct attitude just really reminded me of her.
Yeah, actually, I think I saw her interviewed where she was like pregnant, going door to door, knocking on doors when she was trying to sell Spanx.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was very, very direct and a go-getter. And I thought one of the very interesting points she made is about kind of separating your emotions.
Yes.
Out of business and, making decisions. And I think that that's so hard to do. And so many people don't do that.
Hard. Yeah.
But if you're able to, I think that it probably makes the process a little bit easier.
Yeah. And I think maybe, you're driven by your passion, right? But when it comes down to certain decisions, I think you have to be very black and white about whether you think it's going to be the right thing for you or not. And some, like she said, of taking calculated risks. Like, she took a big risk leaving a pretty good career to make cookies, like dog cookies, Most people would be like, you're insane. But, she planned it out, right? She knew she had a certain amount of time with money that she had saved in order to try and make this a go. And, she was able to do it. And I think maybe some people rely too much on the passion side of things and not as much on the rational side of things, of saying, this is how I'm going to get it done. And this is how I'm going to still be able to pay my bills and put food on the table. And, but I did like that she's able to explain how and why she did that.
Yeah. And I also liked that she shared the information that she didn't take money from the business for quite a long time and put it back into it, because I think that's where a lot of people fall short with their businesses, where in the beginning, especially, where they're taking money out to live and they're not putting it back into the business to let the business grow.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to. I think you really have to put money back into it.
For sure. But that depends on your margins. Like,
yeah,
how maybe you're not doing that when you're barely making any money, but once you do start, then, you're putting that back into it to grow it.
Yeah.
And then you're set up to be able to make that next step. Like, for her to move out of her apartment into a proper facility where she wasn't using like easy bake ovens on her porch to make these things.
I know. I mean, it's kind of inspiring though that she kind of did that, and
definitely.
And did so much herself.
For 4 years, it sounded like. For 4 years, she was making all of those things in her apartment kitchen. Yeah. Like, that takes some dedication. And
also, I mean, so maybe she wasn't spending. It wasn't glorious, right? It wasn't a glorious way to do business. She wasn't spending a bunch of money. Maybe that's a better way that she invested in her business, right? Is by keeping it there and just pushing through and getting it done. And sometimes I think that even like having a storefront, right? And when she said that she didn't have a storefront and she's looking at the market trends, like that's very smart, because there's so many people who would just go out and be like, oh my God, I love, walking into these bougie dog boutiques and I want one for myself. Well, she actually has
the best business idea. Is that what's best for your business? And she's recognized, no, it's not what's best for her business at this point.
Right. And found a way to like satisfy that, right? By being in over 600 stores.
Right.
She's probably in some bougie boutiques where she can walk in and feel part of it anyway.
Yeah. And I loved how she addressed competitors, because that was one of the main questions I wanted to ask her was, how do you deal with competitors? Because when I go into a tack shop now, I see like 3 or 4 other companies who completely copied what she does, to a T.
Yep.
But I wonder if they put into as much what she put into it of, all of the testing and making sure it's clean and that, you could eat anything that you're giving your dog, right? And, all of that hard work up front that she had to do in order to have the right formula for the ingredients. So I did like that she said she doesn't pay attention to it and it's not important to her, and she focuses on what she does best. And that's admirable, because I think so many people would have a hard time doing that.
Yeah. Getting caught up in what other people are doing. I like the Kentucky Derby analogy of putting on blinders and just going forward. And I think that is a good way to look at it. Because I also was thinking the same thing about like the competition and how many people seem to copy it. But I would love to know how many of those companies are 7-figure companies like hers.
Exactly. That are as successful as she is.
Yeah.
I would bet not many of them.
Right.
But it's cool to see, that she can be single-minded like that. And really it's what's important to her is what she is doing best, and that how she is helping her company grow. And, like she said, the environment that she provides for her employees and finding the right people to be in it. That's really cool.
Yeah, the culture. And I mean, I could have asked 100 more questions about about her process of hiring and her process of training. And, I find that so interesting, because I don't think very many companies do that.
Right. No, I don't think so either. It takes the right kind of person to be able to do that and to maintain it. Even if you're growing and you're getting to a point where you've got lots of employees, how much time and effort are you putting into that training and making sure that you have the right people, no matter what their skills or experience are? Do they fit into what you want rather than, are they going to be the fastest at making products?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
something to that effect.
Yeah, definitely. I thought she was a great business person. Really enjoyed talking to her. Really enjoyed her energy. I also appreciated that she makes me sound less New York.
She totally did.
Because I know that you had mentioned that before, but I think I sounded less New York.
I mean, you sounded like you were from the Midwest.
Yeah. I love it. Well, we're going to get going and wrap up for today. So if you want to find the links to today's guests and the show notes at www.eqbusinesswomen.com. Equestrian B2B is out twice a month on the 1st and the 15th.
You can find out more at eqbusinesswomen.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can find Equestrian B2B wherever you get your podcasts, but be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a review so more people can find us. You also can have all 20 plus shows of the Horse Radio Network with you wherever you go with their free app for iPhone and Android. Go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network.
Now go build your business and help others along the way.